Ndinoda kuti nyika isiwe vanhu vangu inguva yedu hatingatadzi kubudirira Mwari ari parutivi pedu rambai muchirwa 'Cause my hitters don't die, and real hitters gon' shine, and my people gon' rise. 'Cause we're born to win, yeah. I ain't saying how the hell do I not have a deal? I swear this thing is a real dog. I play it fan off, the cowards that they can't feel. The wife try to console me like it's coming, baby, chill. She don't understand. I'm the only one that's real. I remember the 3rd grade. Them kids, they had waves. I had them BDBs. You know that Zimbabwe ain't great, so they do shades. And your boy hit the stage, press play, and all the chicks was like, yeah. While boys was moving bricks, I was moving chips. If she gave me calculus, gave her a mouthful of it. Heat rose to this thing, boy, I bet on myself.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. We have a fantastic Friday in the works for y'all. Got some information filled that we get to give you because I got Andie Lyons in the building from Public Health Seattle, King County. And we're going to be talking all about COVID, immunizations, getting kids back to school. Excited to have Andie here. And of course, it is also Fitness Friday. Deon BodiMeChanik Abdullah, our resident fitness coach, is also in the building. And we're going to be talking about how we get ourselves back into the groove after a vacation like myself. So we're going to be sharing some of the things that Deon's been cooking up for me, and we're going to be sharing it with you all. But of course, it is the top of the show right now. So it's a great time. Matter of fact, it's the perfect time to go ahead and tag and share the stream right here. Thank you so much for those of you who do tag and share the stream with folks who you feel could benefit from a daily dose of dopeness right here on the Day with Trae. If you cannot watch our TV show, we have you covered because you can also listen to us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. Y'all will find me on Google, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, Apple Music. It is so many different platforms that you can find us on by searching Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. Shout out to all of our podcast listeners all over the globe. We appreciate you finding something special with all the guests that we love to bring here on to the Day with Trae. But when it comes to those guests, y'all, I'm glad that we can wrap up an amazing week with some great information and then get down into some fitness. I get to start out, of course, with Andie Lyons. Hi, Andie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Trae?
Amazing. Great to have you with us.
I am so excited to be here.
Well, you know, we were just talking about this. School is about to start again. There is an uptick in COVID. There's so many different things that we get to cover, but I want to kind of start with that because we're seeing kind of COVID come back. What's it looking like here in King County?
Really good question. And I know that's something that we have been hearing a lot about, right? That there's another increase in cases. We don't have the same level of detail when it comes to numbers as we used to during the height of the pandemic. What we do know is that there are a couple of metrics that we pay attention to where we're seeing some increases, specifically around hospitalizations from disease and also ER visits for COVID. So those are some indicators that we might be seeing some increases in cases. But what's really good news is that those surges are nowhere near the really big surges that we've seen in previous years. So we do know that COVID's out there, that we are seeing some increases, but it doesn't look like it's going to be like what we have seen maybe last year or the year before.
Oh, that's good to know. I know, especially as, you know, folks are preparing to be back in school. We see a lot of companies telling employees to get back into the building, come back to work, right? And kind of canceling their remote work programs. So there is a lot of influx of people being back together in space at larger capacity. So it's good to know that we're not seeing those huge upticks. But we also are hearing about some new variant, EG5, right? Just tell me more about this. What's going on here?
Yeah, so we know that COVID is like most viruses and that it is going to adapt and change over time. Some viruses do that really quickly, some are more slow, but COVID does that. And so there is a new variant. Again, we don't have the same level of detail that we used to. When we were at the height of the pandemic, the public health department was paying attention to a lot of those little tiny details. We don't have that right now. But what we do know is from the CDC that new variant, EG5, is making up about 17% of the cases. So it is increasing, and we've seen an increase since the beginning of August. But we can't say with the same assuredness that it's making up that same case count here in the Seattle area, but we imagine it is. But, we are able to track on this, and that's why you'll be hearing more and more about these new vaccinations that are trying to keep pace with the ways that things are changing.
All right, we're going to take a quick break real quick. We'll be right back, y'all. Stay tuned.
I just want to encourage people to really believe in yourself, even when nobody else does. Because it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. The people that you feel like should be supporting you when you first come out the gate, they may not support you. Your family, your friends, they may not get on board until you're successful or whatever. But just keep going and believe in yourself. Support yourself first, and the support will come. The reciprocity will come. But if you don't do it for yourself, you can't really expect anyone else to do it for you. So my biggest piece of advice is you show up even when no one else shows up. You just keep showing up, because that consistency tells the universe that you're serious. And then you'll look up one day and you'll have all the support. You'll have more support than you ever thought was possible. So yeah, believe in yourself.
Hey, I'm Besa Gordon. You may have heard my voice on Hits 106.1 or seen me on Converge Media, but now I'm coming to TV. I'm hosting the newest show on Fox 13 called Back to Besa. Check us out every weekend for the hottest topics, interviews, the latest trends, and uplifting stories. We're going to have so much fun, and teens, we got you too. Back to Besa Saturday nights, 10:30 on Fox 13, and Sundays at 10 a.m. on Fox 13 Plus.
Big Tobacco thinks they know everything. They think they know you, your community, the places you go, and the way that you spend your time. They think they got you all figured out, down to a formula, a calculation based off of numbers of what they think they know. Show them they're wrong. Learn more at theythinktheyknowyou.org.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, continuing my discussion with Andie Lyons. Now, Andie, we were just talking a bit about, not being sure about the numbers, but also being sure that we're not seeing those surges that we saw before, and that we're okay with this variant for now, but it is increasing. Also, there's a question around new booster. I mean, is there a new booster coming out for COVID? Folks are still being encouraged to take that COVID booster. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we know that there will be a new booster coming out sometime this fall. We're not sure exactly when. And so we would encourage people to get up to date with whatever is out there right now. So what is available that people can go to their pharmacy or their medical provider and take, right? That would be what we were calling a bivalent booster that came out last September. So September of 2022. If you haven't gotten that shot yet, we would encourage you to get it, even now with the expectation that we'll have a new booster in a little bit, because we are seeing those increases in cases. People are going back to school. They're going back to the office. They're out there living their lives, right? So we want everyone to have the greatest amount of protection possible. And because we're not 100% sure on that timeline, We want people to be up to date now. So getting that most recent booster is a really great idea for everyone because it protects you not just from getting sick, which is annoying, but it can also keep you from getting long COVID, which is something we don't know a lot about, but is, a little scary, I think, and can keep you out of the hospital, especially if you're higher risk, if you've got some immune compromising disease, or to help protect our older community members also.
Well, that's important for sure. And, when we think about back to school, right, we're talking about more than just COVID, other vaccines. Y'all are also making sure folks remember to get their children up to date on all of their vaccinations for school. And I know this is a huge part of you as a Youth Immunizations Lead at Public Health. Tell us more about this. How can parents be sure that they're prepared properly?
So in Washington state, there are some vaccinations that are required for kids to attend school and childcare. Now, I'm not going to go through that whole list because it's a long one, but we can definitely get that information for you, and maybe you can share with your listeners and folks who are watching. But it includes things like vaccinations for chickenpox, for measles, for polio, right? Which we don't necessarily hear about, but we continue to get vaccinations for. And the way that somebody can make sure their kid is up to date is, one, check with a medical provider. If you've got one, if you've got a doctor you go see regularly. If you don't, Washington has something very cool, which is a centralized immunization system. So the vast majority of providers are entering into that system when they're giving a vaccination, which means your kid's school nurse can look it up. If you, let's say you normally go to a clinic, but this time you got to go to CVS, that CVS should be able to look up the vaccinations as well. So they can check and make sure to see what vaccinations your child or you have received, and then make sure you're getting up to date with what's recommended or required.
Well, that's good to know, because I think access to information is so key, particularly as you're working to prepare the right ways for school to start, for our young people to be, covered and be careful and safe and healthy. I got to ask more about your role, though, because when I saw that Youth Immunization Lead, there's something very specific, and I had no idea that public health was putting that much emphasis on, the youth population. Explain more about what you do.
So my job is to make sure that our kids, our youth, and our families have the information they need to make decisions about immunizations. And that can be kind of complicated, right? There's a lot of different voices and perspectives going into that. And there's a lot of different immunizations that we're talking about. So everything from what do our littles need to get into childcare, to what kinds of conversations are we having with our teenagers about immunizations? Because sometimes, for whatever reason, kids get to a high school age and they haven't received immunizations, either because it wasn't something that they had access to because of how, what was going on in their lives. Maybe they are coming here from another country where their access wasn't the same. And so we want them to have that information. We also want them to be advocates for immunization, right? For vaccination. And we see that that's really effective, that when young people are talking to each other and to their younger peers, they can make the case in a way that I can't.
Yeah.
So we really want to sort of provide them with the skills and the knowledge and the tools that they need to be advocates for immunization and be public health experts in their own communities.
Well, it's so interesting to hear you say that. I know during the height of COVID, there were a lot of young people who were like, yo, you're over there coughing, get away from me, or did you get your vaccine? It was just interesting to hear from younger folks who were like very into the understanding of, this is going to protect me. This is going to protect us all. It's going to help us. So it's interesting to hear that there are some, ways that we can empower those young advocates to help others. When we think about vaccinations in general, clearly this centralized immunization system is a great way to ensure that parents are up to date on what their kids have and what they may need. But let's say they're not really sure. How do they get access to that? And is there a risk if they're not sure and they actually get double vaccinated? Or, tell us more about that. Maybe there's no way to do that with our centralized system, but we would like to know if that's a possibility.
Sure. So the system is amazing because it's really, allowing all these different medical providers to put in that information. But it doesn't mean that it's perfect because some providers won't. There are mistakes. If you're moving from a different state, it's not going to get in there. If you're coming from a different country, it's not going to get in there. So while it's certainly a really good tool and families can access it through the MyIR website, which is through the Department of Health, if for whatever reason you feel, man, I'm 75% sure that my kid got an MMR, but I'm not 100%, and they need to go to school, so I've got to show proof of it, right? Is there a danger in that child getting another dose of MMR? And most of the time, there's not any risk. It's not going to be harmful. It's always a good idea to talk to your individual medical provider. And if you show up at a vaccine clinic, at a pharmacy, at your doctor's office, and you explain what's going on, they're going to be able to speak to the specifics of your child or your health or whoever they're talking to. But by and large, it's not going to be harmful. And in fact, it's one of those cases where it's better safe than sorry, because the harms of some of those diseases really outweigh the very, very small risk that occasionally will come with vaccines.
Well, thank you for all of this insight and information. We want to get our viewers and our audience members prepared. Of course, Andie, I got to give you time to look right there. Let them know, how do they connect with Public Health Seattle King County?
Well, we have some websites. That's a really good way to get in touch with us, kingcounty.gov. We have tons of statistics if you love that kind of stuff, if you're kind of a nerd. You can look at all the data points. You can find links to the information that I've spoken about. And one thing that's great is we also have some free clinics for all of those recommended and required school vaccines, including COVID, available for primarily South King County area residents. But you can find that information, go get those vaccines for free. They're happening at a lot of local school districts. You can grab that information on our website. And we really encourage everyone to make sure that you are up to date, you're keeping yourself safe, you're keeping your community safe, you're providing that protection that we all need.
There it is. Andie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Trae. So good to be here.
Absolutely. Wow. What a wealth of knowledge to start our Friday off. And we're going to continue because our knowledgeable fitness coach, who is here in the building, Deon BodiMeChanik, is coming up right after this short break. Y'all stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
I just want to encourage people to really believe in yourself, even when nobody else does. Because it's going to be like that. It's going to be like that. The people that you feel like should be supporting you when you first come out the gate, they may not support you. Your family, your friends, they may not get on board until you're successful or whatever. But just keep going and believe in yourself. Support yourself first, and the support will come. The reciprocity will come. But if you don't do it for yourself, you can't really expect anyone else to do it for you. So my biggest piece of advice is you show up even when no one else shows up. You just keep showing up, because that consistency tells the universe that you're serious. And then you'll look up one day and you'll have all the support. You'll have more support than you ever thought was possible. So yeah, believe in yourself.
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here. Right now I am with my exclusive fam, and in case you missed it, August is National Black Business Month. So of course, Converge Media is going to uplift different black businesses across the Pacific Northwest, and we want for you to nominate your favorite by going to whereweconverge.com/Black Business Month. Again, that is whereweconverge.com/Black Business Month. And honestly, you never know. Girl might pull up.
Big Tobacco thinks they know everything. They think they know you, your community, the places you go, and the way that you spend your time. They think they got you all figured out, down to a formula, a calculation based off of numbers of what they think they know. Show them they're wrong. Learn more at theythinktheyknowyou.org.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me is my personal trainer and our resident fitness coach here on The Day with Trae, Deon BodiMeChanik. What's up, Deon?
Yes, hello. Good to be back. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad that you are back, and honestly, I'm glad that we are back in business. And so we just wanted to take some time to really go over how you get a client getting back into it. I mean, this is really key. I was gone for many weeks.
Yes.
And you and I think it had been 3 weeks maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is really serious because as people have that kind of not setback, but they have a change where they're not there, you know, a lot of times that's the thing that makes somebody fall off. So how do you ensure that you keep your clients engaged or re-engage them when they get back from some of these summer vacations?
Right. So, good question. So yes, life gets to you. You was jam-packed with business, travel plans. So yes, you just had to take care of those different priorities. And many times, sometimes our health priorities sometimes take the back burner to get a mission to, fully go. So what I want to primarily focus on, because during that time, your focus was on getting that work done. So when you're coming back into the mind of fitness and the mind of health, the first thing you want to do is kind of, and Trae, you did this to me when you actually contacted me. You kind of manifested and stated what your goal was. Deon, I want to achieve this new form of fitness. I want to unlock this new realm of health that's going to excite my life in such a way. And you kind of stated that, and your whole body, your being kind of goes in that direction. Now, once again, you need to understand there's stimulus of the summer vacation and what's coming, the season of good eating, and comfort food, and that cozy time, indoor time. There's not much stimulus to get in shape because the summer is phasing away and more get time to business. There's a lot of stimulus that's going to take your mind off the health. I know school's starting, y'all. I know COVID's up, y'all. I know, you know what I mean? Business, everything's getting ready to go boom. But I want to tell everybody, we got to keep that New Year's resolution energy, right?
Yeah.
That, hey, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do this. Let's re-spark that. And it's a good thing that you brought that up. We need to have a mid-year spark up to the New Year's resolution, because I get that a lot of things kind of die down and we kind of get disoriented onto new priorities. But that New Year's resolution you made to yourself is usually your true goal, because it's your true desires. So once again, it's usually going to be fitness is a major concern. So really just making that I got to get my fitness done, working out, I got to get my nutrition done in the midst of how your schedule is going to complement that.
Well, it's so important too, I think, because some of this is self-determination. I mean, that's what I'm hearing you talk about, right? Like I was on vacation, y'all, in Egypt, and I text Deon like, yo, when I get home, like it's on, because, there were certain things for me where I was like, oh man, yeah, I really want to see my body in a certain way. And I know that that's going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. And so there's some level of self-determination. But for me, there's also this understanding of what a trainer brings, what a fitness coach brings in terms of accountability, which is so key. For me, I could have had all the self-determination in the world, but maybe without that accountability piece, I was lacking, because I had all the programs at home, the at-home this and that. I brought a little cube. I could do all these workouts. and it wasn't happening, right? And so I get excited when I'm like, no, I got to get up in the morning because Deon's counting on me. There's something to be said about that. How have you experienced that with other clients when they realize like it's about this relationship and this partnership because we're doing it together?
Another fabulous point you bring up, and another one that I kind of want to speak to really heavily too. It's understand kind of what I am as a trainer is a connection port to a healthy being. Like you said, you want to be around the company that's going to get you in that way. If you want to go into business, you're going to hang around some business folks, right? You want to learn some science, you got to hang around some scientists, right? So basically a trainer, I'm a person of health that is your friend. You know what I mean? Friends are hard to come by. The value of a trainer is that you can pay somebody, right? Like, hey, boom, 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 boom. I don't have to go through that vetting process. You know, you're a trainer. You are my ally to keep me accountable. So a trainer could be anybody. It could be that friend, that spouse, that workout buddy, that's whoever's going to keep you accountable to going there. And usually it's a person whose company you enjoy, whose company you respect. So once again, at the end of the day, the first thing is, first of all, manifesting that. Because I'm also pointing back to you, Trae. You said, Deon, I got this goal. I want to become this new version of health. And I really want to have you go on this journey with me. You manifested your goal and who you wanted to go with. So that's your person of respect and accountability. You gave that to me to give. So honestly, it's something the client has to give to that person in order for that person to be impacted. Otherwise, you're my gym buddy. I don't like you. I'm gonna fight. It's an excuse. Ooh, baby cry. Can't go. Ooh, traffic. Can't go. But Trae, you will part the seas to get to me sometimes just because of this connection that we have. So the goal is finding somebody that's pure in your goal, you know what I mean? And manifesting that. Once again, you have to state what you want. It's your desire to be healthy, to be fit, to run a mile, wherever the case may be. And I choose this person. Or once again, some people are amazing and don't need people. I'm not one of them.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, I say, well, you definitely have such a great work ethic to it, and you provide a lot. And so this morning, it wasn't about fitness. You're like, no, we're gonna get your body muscles primed and ready for next week. And so it was all about body work, massage, and so a little bit of sculpting, which was my first time. And of course the cupping, which y'all, if you haven't had cupping through massage, I'm gonna tell you, it is definitely beneficial, but it's just every time I'm like, oh, here it comes. It's gonna be a little bit painful, but I know I'm gonna experience the benefits after. You know, when we talk about this holistic approach to fitness, I mean, this is something that is a recurring theme every time you're on, but I really get to experience it through massage and the work you do. How do you kind of shift your brain? Because it's really interesting for me, because it's like this person knows what I'm doing on the physical side, right, to get my body trained. So you know exactly what to tackle on the massage side. And I just want to know how you deal with the dichotomy of those two entities playing together for your clients.
Once again, another good one. You gave me the best ones today. The thing about it is honestly, and this is gonna be a kicker, it gets easier. The body was never supposed to be separated, you guys. It was always supposed to be one whole. Your mental's not detached from your gut, not detached from your muscles, not detached from the air you breathe. One of them things go wrong, the whole body drops, right? The body was always one built of a colony of different pieces and specks working cohesively together, okay? So that's ultimately what it is. So when I learned the fitness realm, which was my first dive into health, right? Well, prior to medicine or emergency medicine with paramedicine. But it became easier to understand how to relax the muscles when I learned every way to stress the muscle. You know what I mean? And as I continue with my studies now, towards my bachelor's in nutrition, I'm learning how to fuel those muscles. You know what I mean? So these vitamins that I'm hearing, that's not the first time I'm hearing it because of my prior education, but I'm getting the other angle only to give me a bigger understanding. Coming up, I got chiropractic school. And once again, these foundations are making it easier to grasp the other modalities of health, which once again brought up the whole idea of holistic coalition itself, the unification of providers. It's not only working together, but it's a shared knowledge network of knowing the other angle to better diagnose you. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I know a little bit of mental health thing, I can better gauge. A little bit of nutrition, I can better gauge, and vice versa, vice versa, vice versa. So when these things actually become a blessing instead of more burden on each other. Honestly, boosters. Anytime I get a new one, it's a booster instead of another thing to learn. It's like, ooh, it's actually more clarity. Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm such a great like I'm in awe of you being able to do all of these things and that I get to benefit from them. Because honestly, it's like, okay, now I'm tracking what I eat, y'all. I got to tell Deon like what I'm eating every day. And for anybody who knows me, you know, that is probably a task in and of itself. But I'm also connecting with my son and we're doing this whole like fruit thing because for football, he's got to get down a little bit. So we're doing this whole fruit diet. And it's really interesting because you pay attention more to what you're putting into your body. So I just want to thank you. And every time you're on, I'm always like, thank you, Deon, because it's giving me a wider purview to my own goals and also the pathway to get there, which I think sometimes is what gets murky for folks. So, of course, I got to give you time. Look right there in the camera. Let them know how they book their appointment, how they connect with Holistic Coalition.
Holistic Coalition, BodiMeChanik here. As always, the best way to connect with your mans is through a service and or a product buying of one that we offer. You can find that at holisticcoalition.com. You can find us on all IG platforms, Holistic Coalition _NW. Emails for contact information, info@holisticcoalitionnw.com. The reach is always 360-362-0367 to actually get us on the phone. And once again, I just am really blessed to be on this show. I love it so much. You give us a platform to really speak, and this is also a part of Help Too. Please check in with me every Friday to get the most up-to-date stuff. And once again, come see me in person.
That's right. Fitness Fridays. Thank you so much, Deon. Oh, I'm telling y'all, I'm more relaxed after my morning massage session with Deon, but I also get to wrap this up right now because y'all know at the end of the day, all of my guests provide something in terms of inspiration. Find what works for you. What is it that triggers you in that positive way for you to figure out how to see yourself as a part of the solution, as my guests have. Huge shout out to Andie Lyons for being here and giving us more insight to what public health Seattle King County is doing around COVID and vaccinations. And of course, huge shout out to Deon BodiMeChanik Abdullah for being here with us and sharing a way to get yourself back engaged after those summer vacations. It's on us, y'all, to have that self-determination and find that accountability partner, no matter who it is, so that you can stick to your goals. I'm excited to wrap up this week with you all. Thank you for being with us this week. And y'all know, for me, until Monday at 11 a.m. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.